Mindful Living podcast, the space where we challenge the stories we tell ourselves, one conscious breath at a time. Now, today's episode is for anyone who's ever looked in the mirror and thought, this version of me, it doesn't feel like the whole truth. We're diving into the unseen layers of habit, identity, and healing, specifically the ones we bury under routines, wine glasses, and the phrase, I'm fine. Joining me is Jessica Betancourt. She is a certified hypnotherapist and holistic health coach who specializes in helping people release outdated coping mechanisms, especially around alcohol, smoking, food, and other subconscious patterns that no longer serve their evolving selves. Now, listeners, Jessica isn't just teaching this work, she has lived it. From secretly managing daily wine habits while functioning as a mother and grad student to becoming powerful guide for subconscious transformation. Her story is honest, raw, and radically healing. So whether you have been questioning your relationship with substances, or simply wondering why change feels so hard, this conversation is going to take us somewhere real. So, with that, Jessica, welcome to the show, and I'm really, really happy to have you here with us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sana. Thank you for the introduction.
So, Jessica, I mean, what you say, I completely agree with you. Substance use is often it's an outdated habit, which is somewhere there is a journey or a past story or any kind of identity related it to there. So what helped you recognize your drinking as a symptom, not the root cause? I mean, how what exactly happened in your journey that caused you to explore this entire new world?
hmm That's a really good question. How did I see my drinking as a symptom and not the root cause? I love
Mhm.
that, and that's totally what it is. Anybody who has a habit that you do it, and you kind of maybe everybody comes to this point, or maybe you don't. But for me, I came to a point where I was realizing, oh, I'm just doing this thing. I'm just like doing it automatically at certain times in certain ways. I drank a whole bottle of wine starting at 5. Like I noticed that it just had this feeling of like I was just doing it automatically without even really thinking about it. I just was like going through the motions. And I thought to myself, if I wasn't doing this, what else would I be doing and how would I feel? And I was also noticing that I was really becoming really short tempered. I would wake up and feel like I looked really old, like dried out in my face, and my eyes were dull, and I was getting just really irritable with people, like a really short temper. And I thought, this isn't really who I am. This doesn't really feel like who I am. I feel like this is something that I'm doing to myself. And so I just started getting curious because I was so attached to my drinking. Like I never wanted it to be the thing that I needed to work on. But you can, if you have a habit like that, or you're resonating with what I'm saying, and it's the thing you don't want to work on, then that's the thing that you would want to look at. That's definitely where the the richness is and more discovery about yourself. So my thing was wine, but it really could be anything for anybody that you're, checking out with, doing all the time, like, you just kind of automatically resort to it, whether you just kind of, pick up cigarettes or scroll through your phone or eat, a whole bag of candy. If it's the thing that you really know that you're doing, but you also tell yourself that you really love it and that you don't want to look at it because you tell yourself that you love it so much, if you can just, give yourself some space and pausing before you do the thing, it will start to feel like it's um, on top of something else, right? It's like it's just a way in to doing deeper work on yourself. So for me, the way into doing deeper work on myself was to look at my relationship with alcohol, with wine in particular. And when I did that, I was like, wow, I have all of this stuff in me that wants my attention, that needs healing, that is weight from the past, that is energetically keeping me stuck, dysregulating my nervous system, my emotional self. So it just became a way in, and that's why I look at addictive behaviors as a symptom because they're on top of the real root cause, which may be more than one thing. In many cases it is. It's not usually just one thing. It becomes like a journey of self-exploration when you yeah. Did you have a question? Sorry?
No, 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 go ahead, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I was talking. Um Yeah, just the thing that what my recommendation is to anybody who's listening to this or who might be on a similar path, to look at the thing that you're turning your attention and your time and your energy and you're investing yourself in that's maybe not for your greater good. That maybe it's a thing that helped you at a time in the past when you maybe didn't have other resources or you didn't know where to go for help or you didn't know how to deal with your life because maybe it was chaotic or traumatic, and see like how far back you can trace the use or the relationship with this thing. And then maybe you're at a point where you're far enough away from it where you can start to change your mind about who you're being in relationship to the thing. So it might be that you discover that you don't really need it the way that you used to. But your mind has created deep grooves, right? Like we create rituals and we create deep grooves in our consciousness and in our brains, like anatomically in our brains and in our bodies. We create habitual patterns that then our body just kind of does automatically and we cease thinking about it in a conscientious analytical way. And that's really how habits are formed. So they become repetitious. We identify with them as helping us, and we make up all these stories around why we love it and why we think we need it and what problems it solves. And until we can create some space between those stories and our real selves, then we'll keep doing it. But when you can slow down, and hypnosis is really amazing for this, also meditation, all types of spiritual journey practices are so beneficial and healing and helpful for creating space between yourself and the thing that you're doing. So you can start to see it as not really you, just something that you've been doing. And that's why it's a symptom rather than a root cause.
Hmm. Uh, I mean, that completely makes sense. And also, as you mentioned about, these stories that we try to make to kind of justify these habits or substance use, it's this kind of our brain's own defense mechanism,
Mhm.
uh, kind of, to make our brain or body feel like it's worth it. It's kind of that sweet cover up behind. Maybe it kind of can be a past experience or some kind of traumatic event that happened. um so I also want to ask you about hypnosis, as you mentioned about it. I mean, there are still a lot of misconceptions around this particular concept. And many people still see it as a stage magic or a gimmick. um, at some point of time, even I also used to believe that. Uh,
Mhm.
but then there's definitely something happening here because um, something is happening in the brain when we are using hypnosis to shift a habit. So, what exactly? I mean, if you can, help us with any kind of scientific explanation, or is this something, any kind of wiring changes within our brain?
Yeah, I'm not a
Yeah.
neuroscientist,
Yeah.
so that wouldn't be the language that I could define it from, but I can define it from, like, a consciousness perspective and as a hypnotherapist. And I do know a bit about, brain anatomy, but that's not my specialty. So I'll describe
Mhm,
it through the perspective of consciousness. So there's different
mhm,
levels of consciousness, right?
mhm,
And we're mostly acting from a really small percentage of it. Like the part of our mind that just kind of accepts that it knows things and like takes it for granted and has simplified life up until this point into a certain set of behaviors and a certain set of thoughts and beliefs and feelings, and our our body gets really used to that mode, those modes, right? So like those are kind of the default modes that we operate from.
mhm,
And they're pulled from our subconscious, or they grew with us. And then our conscious mind kind of just like picks from that small sampling most of the time.
okay,
It's familiar, right? And like our brains use a lot of energy to even do thinking processes. And so every part of our body is really trying to conserve energy, and the brain, right? Especially because it has so many cognitive processes that use a lot of energy. So it's trying to conserve. So what it likes to do is just make stuff easy. So it's like it picks what it knows, it picks what's familiar, even if those things are unhelpful per se to the body. It's like the mind just wants to survive. And so it goes to what it knows. It doesn't really want to um spend a lot of time and energy and resource to like find another way to do something when this way already quote unquote works, the habit or the default mode of being. But what hypnosis allows us to do is to relax that part of our mind that is just kind of like automatically thinks this, the one that that's just kind of talking to us, that part of our mind that's just talking to us all the time and instructing us what to do. Because if you slow down and you really think about it, you don't do anything without some sort of internal dialogue happening first. So in the example of like, and for myself too, like somebody who knows that they're gonna drink at 5 o'clock, I mean, at any given day, no matter what. There's already a whole front loading of dialogue that has happened before that even occurred, right? Like, waking up, recovering from feeling like you drank last night. Oh, maybe I don't want to do that again today. But oh, I'm gonna start to feel a little bit better. Drink water. Maybe I exercise. Maybe I eat well. Okay, I'm starting to feel better. Okay, you know what? Wine sounds really good again.
mhm,
Okay, I'm gonna go to the store after work. And like all of this is going on, maybe even sub layered with other things that you're doing. Like you might be at work or you might be talking to somebody else or even, reading a book, but your mind has already traveled in this other direction of planning the behavior that you're going to do. And that is what hypnosis helps you stop. So we have to utilize what's called pattern interrupts. So that's a pattern, right? That's a habitual way of thinking that leads somebody into a habitual way of acting or doing. So when you put a client into hypnosis, and I could segue right now and talk about why hypnosis is not performative, but it's really just it's a deeply relaxed mode. You get people to relax and just kind of let their mental guard down just for themselves, without having any kind of agenda for them. So before I put somebody in hypnosis, I ask them exactly what they want to stop doing, what they want to do instead, what they would like less of, what they would like more of. And I get like a clear picture of what it is that they want to change with their thought processes, what they want to change in their action and behavior. And then we translate that into how we can pattern interrupt their thoughts. So when people are in hypnosis, they're in an alpha brainwave state where they've just been able to slow down, stop the chatter in their mind, and to just rest and be in the body and to just feel the sensation of like what it feels like to be in their body without moving forward with this mental agenda of what they're then going to go do and like running all around in their mind, which makes us really unpresent, which makes us really prone to doing things on autopilot or in an automatic way without pausing to really feel our way through it differently. So when you put people into hypnosis, the practice that I do is called regression therapy. So I put people in this really relaxed state, and then I have them make an association with the
Mhm.
thing that they're doing that they wanna change, and I have them kinda, like, time travel back through time, and this is done in the subconscious mind because we can sit there and analytically go, "Okay, well, yesterday I did this, and then last year at this time I was here, and 5 years before that." It's not like that. It's more of, like, a feeling and a sense that's attached energetically to the thing that the person wants to change. Then they have them, like, feel their way back, and when people aren't talking to themselves with their analytical mind all the time, when that's kind of, like, can rest and relax, you can access these deeper parts of your memory, of your consciousness, of your mind in much more profound ways, and people find that they have other solutions back there, right? And they can see with a different frame of reference that the thing that they're doing, actually they started it a long time ago, usually most often, and that they were a completely different person back then. And then what I do is I help people see how they're different and what other options are available to them and what else they want to be doing with their body and with their time and their energy. And we're kind of like opening up their consciousness to this other realm of possibilities and giving them new ways to make neural connections. And then I install that kind of new behavior, like a not they do the behavior, but I install a new process of thinking that excites people because what typically happens when we try to change a habit is we tell ourselves we can't do it and it's got to stop. And we try to reason with ourselves like that. And that never works. It's like it's highly restrictive to the mind and the body, which then feels like it has to rebel. When we put these kind of restrictions on, then there's this backlash effect. So,
Mhm.
what hypnosis does really well is make the change feel exciting and fun and, like, something else to explore in, like, a safe and a fun way because the mind has to feel like it's safe in doing something new.
Mm. Wow. And there's a lot going behind this, and um, what I can understand is it actually kind of help us build that readiness to change, because normally what happens in such habits, I mean, on one hand you are accepting that yes, I need to change, but that having that readiness in action itself, it is so difficult to execute. So I
Mhm,
think that's where hypnosis really creates that bridge. So
mhm.
I would love to know, I mean, your opinion on this.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Um, and that is what it does. It helps you see yourself differently because if we always see ourselves as being the same, then we just do the same things, right? Our habits are attached to specific facets of our identity, and our identity is a construct, right? We either made it intentionally over time or it was just something that we developed in response to our environment and our culture and the way that we believe ourselves to be, but it's really all a construct. And so when you can understand that that's invented and it's not set in stone and it's really like a personality that we're behaving from, you can see how you can tweak different parts of it so that you can have different behaviors. Like, for example, if I really want to write a book, let's say, but I love writing and, I do pieces and parts of it here and there, but I don't think of myself as a writer. I just kind of always think of myself as like a hobbyist or maybe I don't think my writing's any good or not worth sharing, but I really have this desire to write and publish and share a book. As long as I think of myself as a non-writer and all of the things that go along with that, like it's a worthiness issue, I'm not good enough. Who's ever going to read this? Like, as long as that's all there, it's gonna cancel out my ability to move forward with this vision and with this goal. As long as I see myself as somebody who's, not a writer. But the moment I shift my perspective and think of myself in terms of like, well, I am a writer. So what does a writer do? Well, a writer writes no matter what, right? Even in the face of all of that. Like this part of my personality has to move more into the forefront for me to be able to do that. And that's true with anybody who wants to achieve anything in any capacity, right? You want to run a marathon, you need to think of yourself as a runner. Then therefore, what does a runner do? How do they start their day? How do they treat their body? Thinking from this other perspective of who you're being informs the things that you do. And that's what is known as identity shifting or shifting your consciousness about who you're being. Um, so I did that for myself because I was such a wino. And I called myself a wino, right? Like jokingly, but our mind doesn't understand the difference between sarcasm or even negation, right? It only hears the language that you're using and it grabs onto it and that becomes part of your identity construct. So if we walk around like saying even kind of self-deprecating, joking things of like, "Oh god, I'm such a loser. Oh, I'm so slow. Oh, I'm always late. Oh, still I'm just, like, procrastinating." Like, and you don't wanna be that way, you've got to stop saying that stuff. You gotta stop talking to yourself that way. We speak into being who we are being, right? And we can do that you can do that with mantra work. You can do that by doing shadow work and uncovering the self limiting beliefs that you have around yourself. And what I've found is that hypnotherapy does that really well, but in probably in like a much more intense way. I think some people shy away from hypnotic work because it can feel intense in a smaller amount of time. But I look at it as like efficiency, that you're kind of taking months or even years worth of work that you could do or set out to yourself to do, and you
Mhm,
put it in like a 2-hour session. Often these sessions, the way that I work and with my clientele, they can be rather intense emotionally. People are allowing their body to process things that have been pushed down inside of them for probably years and years and years. And
mhm,
they're allowing themselves this space of having a release. We have to release the emotional weight and the energetic weight that we're holding on to because it's very much associated and connected to the beliefs that we're telling ourselves. Like they're the same, right? If I tell myself that I'm a loser, and when I say that and I can feel it in my chest, it means it needs to come out of my body as well as out of my mouth. I need to stop saying that and I need to be able to release it out of the body. So in hypnosis, you can achieve both of these things. Um, and it's not a prescribed method either. It's like every session, every client has their own experience, but we don't have enough. I don't know. I mean, it's a blanket statement, but like generally, we don't have the space held for us to be able to
mhm,
just process emotions in a raw way like that with somebody who's really non-objective to the outcome.
mm. How, I mean, this is so interesting because, and it's so, I mean, true because, I mean, I loved the way how hypnosis and then this whole identity shifting is connected. And secondly, as you mentioned about the language, what we say to ourselves, it's not that what we are actively telling ourselves subconsciously, our mind is telling us, it maybe based on ingrained beliefs or those limiting beliefs, we keep on telling ourselves we are not enough, we are not enough. And um, these habits may be kind of, a gateway to stop, make our subconscious self stop saying that, okay, let me just take a break. I'll stop thinking about this. I'll feel good. And that's how it changes, it becomes a habit. And then our minds get into that self-deprecating tone. I'm not good enough. Okay, fine. Let me at least enjoy this one. This I deserve.
Mhm, mhm.
Oh, um, Yeah, it's so true. It's happening at such a deeper level that I guess hypnosis or such modalities they go to the deeper somatic levels as well.
Mhm.
S- I completely make sense.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, they're not separate. It's like, the mind, body, soul connection is an integral system. You can work with one thing at a time, right? But it's really like it's just kind of like band-aids, right? Until you get the three to work synergistically, you won't feel like the real work has been done, right? We can take care of our mental health, we can go to the gym, we can do meditation, but it's really like you have to address the trinity. You have to address all of this as a whole because we're not separate from the body is not separate from the mind and we're not separate from our spirit as long as we're in incarnation, right? As long as we're alive, those three things are always acting together. um, I really love hypnosis. It's helped me really change my life, and I don't know that I would have otherwise. I mean, it's just a wonderful, wonderful modality that's safe, that is can work in some way for probably anybody who, is willing to see what they have previously not wanted to or not been able to. So it really allows you to expand your consciousness, but to also be in your body and to connect with yourself in a way that's just beyond well, I feel like the more and more I do it, over the years I've been doing it, 5, 6 years, that I feel so much less attached to my egoic self, and I feel more connected, and I identify more as being like a spiritual being inside of a human experience. So that also, like, being able to shift your perspective into something of that type allows you to feel less reactive to trivial things or things that used to really set you off or make you angry. You feel more like detached from things that are really not that significant in the greater scheme of living. So it really helps, and it's really helped me to redefine what living means and what I want it to be like. I don't want to feel small and I don't want to feel scared and I don't want to feel like I have to drink to have fun or to relax. That to me, as I look at it now and, having done the work that I do, that I was like, oh my gosh, I was like under a spell or I was in this trap that I didn't know how to get out of because I didn't even know that I was in one. So it just really helps you be able to step back and see things, from just a wider perspective rather.
That is so true, and that's so awesome. That's so awesome, Jess. So before we wrap up,
Mhm.
um, if our listeners they would like to explore more about hypnosis, identity shifting, and if they are willing to get started on this journey with the right guidance, how they can reach out to you.
Sure. My hypnotherapy practice is called La Vida Salud, Spanish term phrase.
That's
It
fine.
means the life, health life. La Vida Salud Hypnotherapy. And you can also find me on YouTube and my podcast under the name The Radical Healing Podcast with Jessica Betancourt.
That's wonderful. I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes. And Jessica, this has been such an informative, insightful conversation. I personally uh, so very well understood the relation between, first of all, the concept of how it's more than a symptom. I mean, not the root cause, these habits. Then we explored about hypnosis We understood about identity shifting, and it's really about reclaiming the authorship of your life. So thank you so much for your
Mhm.
conversation.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on here.
So to all the listeners, or to anyone who's listening to us and who is carrying quite shame or stuck in the loop of, I know better, but I can't stop. Let this be a reminder, listener. You are not broken, you're not alone, and your habits are not your identity. You can connect with Jessica and explore her resources through the Radical Healing podcast. And just refer to the show notes along with this episode. Until next time, I urge all of you to stay mindful, stay curious, and as always, give yourself that permission to change. Thank you.
Mm. Thank you.